Howdy, howdy, howdy. Welcome back to SciTrek, your sci-fi TV and movie channel.
Welcome back to the Wasteland, y'all. It's Greg the Ghoul here with Harris, my human companion. We are back in the Wasteland today, and we are talking about Season 2, Episode 3 of Fallout on Amazon Prime. Who saw the episode this week in the chat, and what'd y'all think? I know I loved it.
I really love it. There's some things that I feel like are inherently different than the game, and I feel like this show is in this season particularly is starting to prove that it is not the game, and it's not trying to be the game, and I appreciate that totally for its own thing. But I'm not faltering, I don't think, on the show, but it is. I wish it would lean into, I guess, what Fallout has been for a long time, rather than. It does seem to be stepping on some toes a little bit, I guess, is the easiest.
How so?
I
mean, besides the fact that Jamie thinks that.
The what?
Besides the fact that Jamie thinks that. I'm interested to hear why you think that.
Well, I don't know why he thinks it, because I don't know how familiar he is with the games. Two sequels, of course there is. Oh, Modest Traveler, real quick. This is a video configured for phones. There's 2 videos now, 2 live streams. They happen simultaneously. You can always just pick your poison, whichever one feels best. If you like the phone one, more power to you.
Yeah.
But I thoroughly enjoy them putting in all the cut content. But the Lucy character regression is kind of getting to me. That I think that's hopefully going to go further. I loved the character-driven aspect of this last episode, particularly. That's my favorite bit of it.
Mm-hmm.
But damn, has it just shrunk the world? It feels very shrunken. It doesn't feel like the vast open Mojave Desert from the New Vegas video game or anything of the sort. They haven't taken any time to get from one place to another. It's kind of Star Warsing to a degree, where everybody's got to be related to somebody. This has to have this, and then it's also just fast travel is I get fast travel as part of the game, but I didn't think it was part of trying to realize it in a reality.
Yeah, I can understand how that would be a little. Yeah. I saw an analysis of the timelines, all coexisting next to each other, and how there would be discrepancies between them. Like Norm's timeline, Norm should be like a week tops because he's literally starving to death, and Lucy and the ghouls should be. I mean, you could walk from if you did the 20 miles a day, you could walk from LA to Vegas in less than 2 weeks.
Well,
you could. But that doesn't.
In the day, that's horses. Horses are 20 miles a day. People can't walk more than 12 typically.
I mean, I did 20 miles a day. I did the Susan G. Komen walk.
I mean, I've also hiked extensively in like New Mexico, especially actually in Cimarron up there. But that's 60-pound packs, 12, 14, 16 miles a day. 20 miles a day is essentially sprinting while walking. And to do that in the middle of the Mojave Desert while also starving and lack of water.
Sure.
The thing that I think is, and really they're all minor discrepancies, but the attention to detail seems like they focused on it in specific places and just kind of threw it to the wind in a lot of other places right now.
Well, yeah, because you can't have a realistic set of timelines that line up like that. It's just not.
It's very hard.
It's very hard to do that. So it's I think that we have to we have to accept the fact that it's not going to be perfect timelines lining up. It's just not. It's a sci-fi TV show, guys. It's not gonna. It's this is a show with ghouls and with gigantic scorpions that are radioactive. I mean, like demanding perfect timelines that make perfect sense all the time. Demanding logic from your sci-fi show. I understand it to a point, and I think that it should be. I think there should be internal logic.
Yeah.
But fast travel is a thing in the game. you know?
Very much so.
So I think that there's I think that for the sake of telling the story, you don't want to have the ghoul spending 3 episodes just to walk to the fucking NCR outpost, you know? Hey Peter, Happy
That's
New Year.
true.
Cheers, cheers.
And ultimately, like I said, it is minor discrepancies. I think the thing that's just making me sit with it is they're not holding themselves to the standard they held themselves to last season. Because they haven't.
I don't know about that. I don't think that. I think maybe they were less obvious about it. I do feel that it is a little. I do feel that some of the inconsistencies are a little more glaring this time. But you're balancing more, but the sense of time is stretched out in a couple of these plot lines a little bit more than others. And yeah, so maybe on second thought, maybe I do agree with you a little bit more on that. Because yeah, you were dealing with a lot more compact storytelling, but now you've got them crossing huge distances and doing more of this stuff. So,
well, and the thing that, because I can forgive them jumping back to Los Angeles really quickly, or excuse me, the Boneyard and all that kind of really quickly, but they haven't discovered these locations yet. I mean, just playing the game, I was playing. We got back from playing a board game way too late, and I just wasn't tired, and I was like, let me just hop on a little New Vegas real quick, So I went to sleep a little later than I probably should have. Surprise.
Yeah. Well, I've been playing Baldur's Gate 3 finally, and yeah, I've been spending way too many hours on that.
Oh, everyone loves that. I've never jumped into. I want to. So
good, good. I cannot wait for an honor mode run. I'm playing normal mode, but I'm doing a very tactics heavy melee build, and cool. I've been having Asterion snipe everything in sight, and while my barbarian goes in and tanks the shit out of stuff, and it's a lot of fun, and I love seeing the different solutions that you can use for different scenarios. Because I've got a barbarian that happens to have pretty good skill checks on the socials, like a decent charisma, and I didn't make intelligence a dump stat, and suddenly it's like, oh, I can actually talk and think my way out of stuff too. But sometimes it's Hulk smash, So, but I love these games where it's not just press X to kick open the door, and they make it a timed event or something like that. I don't like the Call of Duties, and I don't like the newer Doom games and stuff like that, where everything's a fucking quick time event and they spoon feed you everything you got to do and how to do it.
Give me that world to explore,
Yeah. Well, Secular Monk, I hear you. At the same time, fast travel was established in the video game lore, so I have less problems with it in Fallout than I do in something like Game of Thrones. Number one, yes. Because Game of Thrones is always grounded in that kind of dark reality, that gritty reality of grimdark fantasy. So it's a little bit more glaring when they're trying so hard to stick to realism, and they go and violate it, than something that is obviously cartoonish and obviously embracing the tools of the game. The other thing is that, I hear you on the, we're not discovering things, but you got to remember the ghoul's been roaming the wasteland for 200 years, and we're mostly seeing these new locations through his eyes, or he's at least present when we're seeing a lot of the new stuff for us.
It's and I the approach, I think that actually is not my favorite approach, because he's the one that's already been there and they're treating it like it's going so fast, which I don't think they shouldn't do. I know I'm saying, don't speed it up. Give us the time, because it needs to feel like a lived-in world, and that was masterfully done, like Modest Traveler was saying, in season 1. And I don't feel like this world is as lived in. They've out of the entire time they've made it to the Mojave, all they've seen is one guy stepped on by a boot from Hank. That's kind of Star Warsy, where, hey, the freaking desert's huge. We've driven it. We know how the size of it is. The likelihood, of course, they have Dogmeat and the Ghoul, who are very great trackers in their own right. One with a nose and one without a nose, but they're both excellent in that aspect. I feel like if we're going to New Vegas and we're we're not discovering things like we did with Lucy and Maximus in season 1, because some people are, the newer folks who have never seen anything Fallout based are, but the vast majority of us that are coming to this are waiting for those Leonardo DiCaprio moments of ha ha ha, and that I feel like would have been accomplished better, truly seeing things through the eyes of the ghoul, Cooper Howard, who is familiar. Hey, Tunic's this far west. You know, he's got the one to, and you want to have that discoverability, but he's got the actual. It's more of a rediscoverability for the vast majority of the audience, and I appreciate them leaning towards, of course, the new audience and the fresh set of eyes. But the fresh set of eyes also, it almost feels diminished from what it was. Obviously, the Legion specifically is diminished from what it was, but I think it's the only time I can say it in my life, I don't really like Macaulay Culkin in that episode.
Really?
I thought it was boring as hell. He looked more wooden as an actor than he's the most emotive actor, like maybe that we're all super familiar with for the last 30 years in a lot of ways, besides almost Jim Carrey. Like, we've known that guy's face since he was 6, if not younger. And he's just
let's give him a little bit more time.
Definitely,
and see where it goes with the performance. You know, you're introducing a character who's based on a Roman legate, you know, and you're surprised that they're stoic.
He didn't look stoic. He looked stoned out of his brain, is what I thought, and I was kind of stoned watching it too. So I was like, "Hey, buddy," you know, but it didn't convince me. And part of that, I guess, is I'm playing New Vegas again right now. And yeah, we see them. It felt like it was for show that they walk in there with Lucy, slit the throat of the slave girl that was walking with Lucy, then putting her head on the spike, and then after that, all of it was there to almost just be there for show rather than actually. It felt like the sense of urgency and evil from them was gone after that. Like they're so evil. Like they're so bad. The Legion are terrible people. And yeah, they did put her up on a cross, but and we are in a dark comedy as well. So there are all these different facets.
There's a lot to balance there. There's a lot to balance. So if you've got mustache twirling, you know, look, if you've got constantly mustache twirling villains, you know, overacting as they tie Penelope Pipstop to the train tracks, you know, then there's then they're just a caricature, you know. And I think the thing is that if you go, like, they have a system that they live in, and they have a hierarchy that they live in, and they have, I mean, they live in a society, you know, but they're you know, and it's not always you know, like blowing up trains and getting foiled by the heroes. It's not always that. Like there's and the other thing is that I think what you're seeing is a society in collapse that's still struggling to retain its identity because it's split in two. And I think that this is indicative of what they've done with New Vegas as a whole. Is that at this point, it doesn't matter who won Hoover Dam because everybody is lost at some point or another, and they're all back licking their wounds. You know, I mean, the NCR got gutted at Shady Sands, although we do know from the trailer that there's a bunch of there's a bunch of NCR troopers hiding somewhere, and they're going to be coming back at one point. I don't have a good Jared Leto impression, but you're picking up what I'm putting down. You know, I don't know. I want to wait until I see the whole thing, or at least see more before I start judging and writing it all off. The thing is, it has piqued my interest.
Yes.
You know, and we have and the fast travel doesn't bother me as much because we're dealing with a character who knows his way around. And the thing is fast travel, that's also known as moving at the speed of plot, you know. And yes, I know that there's only 8 episodes. If this was 24 episodes, I wouldn't mind this being like and this is my argument for longer seasons, and more. I'm a fan here of like doing more, but they spend so much on these goddamn episodes that they only do 8 of them because they spend 50 million per episode or whatever. But okay, he got more Romans. It looked like a spoof film where the Romans live in a toy base where they split the camp down the middle. Yeah, well, that's the Legion is a spoof of Roman living, and Lucy even calls it out, like the inconsistencies about how prima nocta is just a Latin phrase for a medieval thing, and how like I love that that you have the educated vault dweller that remembers history and understands it, calling it out and being like, hey guys, this isn't even a Roman thing, like what the hell, at least be consistent, and
I do as well. Just it inherently feels lesser when there's not, there are 2 Caesars now or 2 Chazz, whatever, and
I think that got resolved by the end of that episode.
Oh,
I bet you. I'm thinking that that Culkin is probably going to be the new Chazz by the end of this episode.
He has to be. It's the only thing that makes sense, and I think that's where we're going to see him shine. Because I'm not judging his entire performance off of now. I'm just saying from where we're at the moment, what we've been given, I'm just not convinced.
Fair. Yeah, you know what?
I think that's specifically Legion focused because I loved the whole episode and I enjoyed what they did with the Legion. It just felt like they were the toys of what they were before. And 2 minutes after they're putting heads on spikes, well, we've been battling over a hill for the last 10 years. Shut the hell up. I can 1,000% agree that they would have been battling over a hill. And I would have loved to have actually seen it on like the fort, like actually battling over the hill on the fort where Caesar's tent was.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe they have to get to the fort in general. And it's not just 2 sides of a hill, because that just it made them feel so minute in what it was when Caesar's Legion, whether they're defeated or not at the Hoover Dam, they control all of Colorado, all of New Mexico, a good chunk of Nevada, a good chunk of Utah.
You're also dealing with essentially what is a cult of personality.
Definitely.
Okay. And the thing is about cults is that the minute that the person they're based around, Quest, god damn it. The minute that the cult, the personality that the cult is based around is gone, it collapses. So what you are seeing is a cult in collapse, and it's not surprising that these guys can't wipe their own asses without Caesar telling them how to do it. It's not surprising at all. I actually think that is stunningly accurate, and the reason why you have 2 Caesars is because there's nobody there with the gravitas to be the new central figure of this cult. That's the thing. So we're thinking about the like. Just your House and Caesar are very similar
in a lot of ways.
That they are the center of gravity in their respective universes, and everything flows towards them and revolves around them. Without them, the whole world ends upended on its axis. So the idea that that just like with the middle management vault, that they need strong guidance and strong leadership in order to function, that's part of the theme here is what happens to the chicken, what the rest of the chicken when the head gets cut off. Definitely. Like we see that with Vault 31. It's happening with the Legion. And now, everybody's trying to figure out what the hell's going on with House. You got the Securitrons that have clearly been upgraded, but the only ones that we found so far look like they've been put through the fucking ringer, in a big way, So what you're seeing now is that all the leaders that made New Vegas what it is are gone. Moldaver's gone now too. Yeah, tyrannical hierarchy, exactly. So you're seeing these nation states in decline because the people that ran them had no succession plan, and are gone now. And so we are catching them in a time of great upheaval and transition. And I'm while I do think that it was a little ridiculous that the body's just right there on top of a hill, right in the center of 2 camps. I thought it was a perfect visual representation. It was like it's imperfect storytelling, but it was perfect visual metaphor for what happens to a cult after the personality that holds it together disappears.
Definitely. And I feel like they're all hitting that very well on the head. And I understand, and I do enjoy that aspect of it. I'm just not convinced this would have happened 5 years ago, 10 years ago. There's a lot that can happen in the Wasteland that long. And they make a point of it on New Vegas that, hey, on the strip, and like we haven't seen the strip yet, but the showrunners say, hey, there's a lot that's changed in 5 or 10 years. Or it's like 8 or 15 years. I forget the actual timeline we're on between New Vegas and here and Fallout 4 and here, because it's minor amounts of time.
I think that it's happening right now, though, because that's what, it's more interesting to be in the time of upheaval now than to hear about it later on and only see it after the fact. It's showing, not telling. And that's decent storytelling. And it gives the protagonist the opportunity to have a hand in it, like literally blowing up a bomb in the middle of camp and igniting this Cold War. Yeah. I think the note says, I am Caesar, I am the Legion. I saw that theory floating around and I was like, nah, that seems to work. I didn't have a chance to check my Roman numerals to see if there was any sort of double meaning in I am at all. Hey, Sarah, good to see you. How you feeling?
Howdy. Yeah, hopefully you're feeling well.
Yeah.
I think ultimately because all of this makes perfect sense again. Just and the timeline I can forgive as well, because we need the plot to happen for the plot. I still think Fallout's so good about writing a plot after filling in the gaps. This just feels like 10 years haven't happened in the Fallout world, which I think is a disservice to itself. Nonetheless, I can understand we need to be here for the plot. Well, there's only one group that had a clear line of succession all the way through. And as much as I hate them, it was Caesar's Legion. We would have had Legate Lanius. It probably would have died, but then it would have been Lucullus, the leader of the Praetorian Guard. They were
what
very
happened
well set.
I think that what we're seeing is we're seeing that the Legion didn't win Hoover Dam.
No.
Okay. They couldn't, and I think that they got their asses handed to them. I think that it was probably a Pyrrhic victory. Whoever won. I think it was a Pyrrhic victory, and I think that the Legion had to go back and lick its wounds. I'm betting that like the best of the generals died, the best of the brain trust died, and Caesar's overreach caught up with them, and as a result, we're seeing collapse now in the wake of Caesar's death, because you're probably dealing with, if most of the best leaders died in that last big war, and then Caesar is gone, you're left with the remains running shit, that's my hypothesis. So
what we have in the game, I'm not convinced, just because they make it such a point to say the head honchos, the veterans of the Legion, stay in the third wave. They don't lead the charge. They lead from the back of the pack and send the grunts out first. If Caesar is dead back at camp, it means he didn't travel that way and either got shot there by the courier or succumbed to his cancer.
I'm willing to bet that he died from cancer because he had the note in his chest, and I think he died after the battle. And I think that he probably threw everything he had at the dam. I bet you they went through the third wave, and it was probably all or nothing. I mean, and I think that that's why you see a lot of lack of resources on the NCR front too, and why you see all the Securitrons busted up. I think everybody blew, forgive the phrasing, but I think everybody blew their wads at Hoover Dam Part 2, and that whoever won, it's a victory in name only, really. That's what it looks like to me. And the Stanleys, to address, what do you think if Shady Sands was blown up over 20 years ago from the Ghoul? The Ghoul's knowledge is imperfect, and he's an unreliable narrator. I mean, you're hearing the perspective of the character, and just because he's like a point of view character doesn't mean that his information is 100% accurate. That's that the characters might be working with faulty knowledge. I mean, while the ghoul does seem to be the Luke Skywalker of the networking world here, that doesn't mean that his knowledge is perfect and flawless. The characters make mistakes. That's
said, when Lucy shot him in the first season with the one tranquilizer dart.
Yeah,
honey, that was a small drop in a large bucket of drugs. And
mm-hmm.
over 200 years and a lot of drugs, and literally having your flesh melt off you and turn into a ghoul, you might forget a few things.
Yeah, and I think that there, and I'm seeing a lot of this discourse around the end of Stranger Things as well. By the way, the debate about what's going on with 11. How everybody's reading into every little inconsistency is like, oh my gosh, it's an illusion. Sure, there's a couple of things that are fuck ups, and I think that there's also a bunch of things that are meant to just make you second guess things. And I think there's a lot of imperfect information out there, and you really have to consider the sources. It's media literacy, so
yeah, you could also bring that to the writer's room too. That'd be nice, because Stranger Things did not have that. That was the worst season of Stranger Things by far, and the season finale or series finale I felt like was my favorite episode of the season. That doesn't mean it was a good episode. When season 4 ended on such a high note of that, and minor and
my biggest thing is that they waited 2 years to drop the final season and get it out there, and I felt like it lost all of its momentum.
Yeah, I guess we shouldn't be doing any spoilers here, but it just felt so. The stakes were gone. There were no stakes in the last episode. It was, we're gonna be just hunky dory. It turned into Scooby Doo. There nobody could get hurt. Nothing could happen. We had one person that we knew was going to.
You put the cast of Goonies in mortal danger, but you don't see any of the Goonies getting killed. And you got to remember where the roots are in this. I mean, while it draws influence from Nightmare on Elm Street and stuff like that, this is the Goonies, really, not Jason. I think that I'm like, yeah, hey, where are all the demo dogs and where's the Demogorgons and stuff like that? Like, where was all this and the Mind Flayer getting ripped up by a machine gun, by a small caliber machine gun and stuff like that. There were things about that I was like, yeah, that doesn't feel necessarily realistic to me, but I
just based on what they've given us in the past.
Realism is relative here.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think that it's really tough to stick some landings, and in the age of the Marvel superheroes movies and everything else, that it's that there's this drive to be big and flashy, and I feel like that I don't know. I feel like that the big fight piece as a set piece is kind of almost a disservice at some points, because
Agreed.
I check out.
It was boring. It lasted 2.5, 3 minutes. I enjoyed the who got to do the final. I thought.
No. Joyce having her moment was great. That
was poetic. I like that.
And hashtag justice for Barb finally. Throwing her in the flashback too. I thought that was important. I mean, I don't know. I think I think that there are certain I like the fact that it kept people talking about like what is Elle's ending, and there's a lot of people are tearing things apart and looking at everything frame by frame, and I mean it's a great, fun and engaging way to spend time. I think that there are a lot of people who are finding things in being a writer myself. I always love hearing the things that people find in my scripts that I didn't even know was there. Yeah. And I'm pretty sure that the Duffers are hearing all these things and they're like, what? We put that in there? That's not at all what we were putting here or what we thought, and I don't know. They spend so much money on these episodes, but they still have an upper limit on a lot of these budgets too. And people are complaining like that the coming out scene at the end of at the end of episode 7 was 6.5 minutes, and the whole fight was 6.5 minutes. Guess which cost more to put together, guys? It's not just a matter of runtime; it's a matter of budget. And having a 6.5 minute gigantic battle between Vecna the Mind Flayer and a telekinetic and a whole small arm small guerrilla warfare party versus people standing around in a room. Guess what's cheaper to shoot? And there's a lot of I don't know. I feel like that there's a lot of sour grapes over over it not being exactly how people imagined it in their own heads when they were hearing about this and thinking about this, as opposed to just being open to seeing what comes down the pipe. Not saying that what comes down the pipe is perfect.
No.
No. But I think that when people hold up what they actually get to their own mental expectations and what they've built up in their own minds and what the hype is, they're always going to be disappointed. And I saw this constantly when I worked at Gentle Giant. People were constantly disappointed by Star Wars when I was working there in the like 2010 to 2015. They were constantly disappointed by all the stuff and constantly raging about it. I was in the forums doing market research and customer service, and man, oh man, was it messy. So
yeah. No,
my cat's running around here, so yeah.
So important if we're just whatever counterculture is nowadays, because it can come from any side, any angle, any freaking preference, whatever. It's going to be there. If you don't enjoy something and you're going to talk about it publicly, best thing to do is explain why in as detailed a fashion as possible. I feel like it can't just be, I didn't like it because I didn't like it. Like, no. Don't put bad energy out there necessarily like that unless you can hone in why. Like both those scenes that you just mentioned for Stranger Things deserve to be written better. Neither one were written well remotely, and they deserve to be written better. And
how would you done differently?
And it's not because I don't have any preconceived notion of what they should be. I am very much.
But if you're saying they're categorically bad, that means that you would, in my mind, that means that you probably have inspiration on what you would have rather seen instead. Well, what would that be?
It's more after the fact. It's more hindsight's 2020 after being a witness to what we were given, and they have a large enough writers' room and a great enough staff and crew that. Hey, you also have those people on set. They're all far better actors than at least the coming out scene was not well acted, in my opinion, whatsoever. I thought that was such an important moment, especially for Will to be able to push forward with stuff that it needed to have been handled more meticulously. How so?
What would more meticulous look like to you?
Keep it simple. That did not need to be 6 minutes. That was drawn out. It was about 3 times the length it should have been, and the emotionality of it felt so superficial because of it. It very much was pan around the room and see what everybody thinks about it, and I don't like girls, and that I'm not convinced. Will has gone through way too much bullshit through his last 10 years of life, 5 years of life in universe. I guess it's a very personal thing and a very specific moment.
Okay.
It was not heartfelt. It didn't feel heartfelt. It felt like it was for the plot to move forward rather than this is something that Will would naturally be doing as a human being in this sense. And hey, it's Hollywood. People are going to be pissy one way or another because you put some messaging into it or whatever. It's Hollywood. It's no matter what, storytelling is inherently putting something in there. I think
that room was incredibly accepting for 1987 North America.
And I don't know if I believe
but that shouldn't, at that point though, you want to talk about what's bogging down the whole show at that point is if you suddenly make that like a problem.
Sure. But it was just a very odd thing to place in your final episode in that would have been a really good thing in episode 4 or 5.
Again, if these shows had more time to breathe and they had more episodes, and I'm a fan, man, I missed the 23, 24 episode seasons, you know, and I miss the mystery boxes, and I miss you know, the bottle episodes, and I miss, like, not everything has to be chapters in a serialized tale, you know. I think yeah, because then you could build up the greater sense of shame, and the greater, like, and get this sense of power, and honestly, like, not just presume that anybody over 40 like has an impression of what it was like for queer people in the 80s, you know, to come out, and how much weight that had, you know, and what it was like with the AIDS crisis and everything else that was going on, as opposed to just us having to remember. Because yeah, it did seem like, you know, when you're in a room full of people who are going to be accepting, that it did feel like a bit of a nothing burger, you know. And
It deserved more than that.
well, but how do you do that without building up? I mean, they tried to illustrate it with Robin and how hard it was for her, and having, you know, her guide the baby gay into acceptance and things like that. But they did that largely without showing what the rest of what the culture was like for them, and what the climate was like for them for queer people at the time. You know, they just presume that everybody knows it, you know, and that felt like a shortcut. And I feel like that's why it feels unearned, is that it's relying on people to remember what it was like then, as opposed to showing, you know, and then, which would have raised the stakes. And I think that, how do you do that without completely derailing the rest of the plot? I mean, you need more time. You need more time. And they just didn't have it in, they didn't have that
No.
with everything else. Then they had so many fucking characters in this season that you had to follow. And there was part of it that I really enjoyed, but I really feel like that a lot of the storytelling suffered because everybody had to get their like crumb of screen time, you know. I liked what they did with a lot of it when it was in the service of the greater plot.
Yeah.
But there were moments where things dragged a little bit, and there were I also have trouble reconciling that they had a whole bunch of like backstory happen on Broadway that hasn't been made generally available to anybody else. And they're canon. And I mean, like, I understand that all that's canon, and they recapped a lot of it. But the Venn diagram between the people who are Stranger Things fans who have seen both the show and the play, you know, it's
far and few between.
Yeah. And you know, in the play, they make it known that Joyce and
Henry
Hopper knew Henry, went to school with him. Like, yeah, like, so, like, there was none of that. There was none of that acknowledgement, and there was a lot of that.
Going with their axe, why did they not go back to Henry at any moment? It was all three of them, Duffer Brothers and Sean Levy included, have proven over the last 10 years that they can be much better filmmakers and project makers than what we received. And that, I think, is what.
And yeah, and I feel like that was my disappointment, was that they have this whole thing happening on Broadway, and I haven't seen it. I've only watched recap videos and read the plot and stuff like that. So I know what happens, but I'm kind of like,
the only way we can learn it for the most part. Yeah.
Well, I mean, I don't have the money to fly out to New York to see this thing,
just for it,
or London. So yeah, I don't know about. It's an interesting tie-in, but to give it so much plot weight, and to tie it so heavily into that generation of characters, and then not have it.
It mattered so much, and it mattered so little at the same time.
Yeah, it mattered so much, but it had so little impact.
Pick a lane, yeah.
Yeah, you know? Is it either the most important thing, or is it not? You know,
the biggest takeaways I had weren't even what we've talked about so far.
That's a great question. It started actually with the Philadelphia experiment, which was the battleship that did the dimension hopping. You know, and that's what you see in the play, and that actually happens with Papa's dad. Yeah.
Just the things that got me before we jump back into Fallout were too many plot lines that weren't cut off. If you have a bunch of Hydra heads jumping on, you got to start slicing, and you can't have everybody walk out of there happy. There was
I don't think everybody walked out of there happy. I think you see a lot of sad resolution. You know,
where, like actually though, like where?
I think that you see it with Nancy, and you see it with Jonathan, and you see it with all those guys. That whole reality of like they're not going to be getting together once a month. Real life is going to happen to them, and you're literally watching the disintegration of that friend group. The D&D game, you're watching these guys leave their childhoods and move on, like leave that chapter of their lives and go into the great unknown. And I think that Mike, out of all of them, is going to have the worst time because he's not able to move on. He's kind of like stuck in he's kind of like stuck in the void right now, like metaphorically speaking, because he's not able to get over Elle. He's got this fantasy that maybe she's someplace with 3 waterfalls, and they went and flew Millie Bobby Brown out to Iceland just to get that shot, which also been to those waterfalls. It's gorgeous. So good choice. Yeah. But like they have the door open 3 inches for her to come back in the spinoff if they're as a possibility. They don't want to have a hard door slam on that.
Mike's gonna go looking for Elle on the next spinoff in about 20 minutes if we're not careful.
Well, I don't know. I think that we'll see what happens with the spinoff. Yeah.
Netflix aspect of theaters. Residuals on streaming have been a weird thing since streaming's become a thing. And
as the cast of Stranger Things has said publicly, they're set for life already.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm more upset by the fact that you don't see more of the middle class actors, the guys who actually need the residuals, having a chance to do stuff.
The teacher, Erica, the younger sister for Lucas, so on and so forth. All those
are the guys who need residuals, and those are the guys who actually need like a decent pay scale. And this is part of don't get me started on the disintegration of the middle class of actor. I've had rants on this before on the channel, and it derails whole episodes.
Well, we're not going to stop anytime soon, honestly. Those conversations are going to keep happening.
Well, they're going to keep happening, but the thing is that nothing's fucking changing. And I mean, honestly, like I'm losing faith that the industry is going to come back to LA. They're going to shoot in Eastern Europe, and they're going to shoot wherever because you're dealing with global corporations now that are doing things rather than an industry that's hyper local. Yeah. When you're dealing with companies that are bigger than the governments that can provide the tax credits, they have the ability to take production wherever they can go the cheapest. That's why they shot most of the new Spider-Man in fucking Glasgow, Scotland.
Yeah.
And using that to sub for New York because they had the capability and it was cheaper to fly production there. So they didn't have to pay, among other things, the healthcare costs that come with shooting in the US, So
it is a deep issue that is not stopping anytime soon.
No. And having said that, I'm watching my own health insurance go get doubled. Good times.
All that being said, I just think a couple people probably should have hit the can a little bit. I think particularly, and I don't know if I'm morbid because of it or not, but I think Nancy and Jonathan should have drowned in all that goo. I think it would have set the stage for the finale so much better and added stakes, added so much more depth to what was going on.
Yeah. I mean, again, though, you got to recognize what it is that you're actually watching. And this is an 80s movie like The Goonies where everybody goes home at the end of the day, and we've
watched too many people be gorged and eaten alive and slashed and slaughtered to have that anymore. It was rooted in that, sure, but it was also supposed to be.
I don't need all of my entertainment to be Game of Thrones.
No, totally. But whenever they set the stage for it to be, and then at the end, Da, 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 da. Hey, you can't roll a d20 on 20 every time. It's not 16 or above every single time. It was in the finale. If that's what they're basing this off of, you got to put some chance in there. And there was
I mean, I think that there was a lot of stuff in there that they left a chance that didn't work out, and then the like Steve getting knocked off the tower and getting saved. That was a character moment. That wasn't like life or death. That was fixing his relationship with Jonathan, and resolving the love triangle between Jonathan, Nancy, and Steve, and in a way that it's like nobody's with anybody at the end of it, which I thought was a very interesting way to resolve it. Yeah, I think I don't know. I don't. You have the chaos and you have the death, and you save that for the whole lineup of secondary characters. But I don't. I'm okay with.
And then not even give it to them.
Yeah, I'm okay with the core not getting killed. I mean, like I said, I don't need it to be Game of Thrones. The secondary characters have been the body count for, have been the bulk of the body count in media for generations, and this is a throwback to that. So, yeah. I don't know. I hear you. I just have the opposite perspective of I don't know. You don't kill the Goonies.
Sure, and I'm not saying the kids should have gotten got. Everybody else, though, start slicing.
Fair.
But and ultimately, that's not even what I hang my hat on. I think the thing that just makes me roll my eyes more than anything else is these people just literally committed treason to the United States. And sure, the United States wasn't doing good things to its citizens as it happened, but the military to just let them go free. And of course, it is the little minor detail. It's not that minor of a detail. Hopper's been dead for 3 years in town, and now he's just back as the chief of police. Oh, it was an earthquake. That big earthquake. Oh, it brought Hopper back to life.
Yeah. Again, more time. They could have resolved it with more time to tell the story.
As much as I wouldn't want to see Mrs. Wheeler go, it would have made so much sense.
Dad should have gone. Over Mrs. Wheeler.
Where was he again? Did we ever pick up with him again?
Oh yeah, no, he was at graduation.
Oh, okay, yeah, that's right. He was just sitting there, but he didn't even have a line, did he?
Maybe he did.
Throwaway?
Yeah, no, because he complained about Dustin's speech.
Oh, that's right. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Which the speech was great, at least.
Yes.
Okay. Anyway, all that being said,
getting back, this is a Fallout podcast, but we're talking about modern storytelling techniques and the shortcomings, and this is I feel like that they set up this rich world, it's a visual feast, it's it's rich characters, it's all the storytelling. And then they constrain it with only 8 episodes to tell everything. And even if they're doing double-sized episodes, it's a real disservice. It's a real disservice. And I'm like, bring back the 23, 24 episode seasons with the through plot line. And, I mean, they could have done so much more with the D&D as a result. They could have done so much more with the Upside Down. You can't tell me that Dimension X is only inhabited by the Mind Flayer and Vecna. Like, what else is out there? Are there other characters, other petty warlords? Because there have been alliances to explore. I mean, the funny thing is, I started explaining the Tomb of Annihilation to Jen last night because I got my liches crossed up, and I was like, oh yeah, in D&D, there's multiple liches like Vecna. Like Vecna is just one of many.
To rope it in, I guess, back towards Fallout, I feel a little bit of and I wouldn't say it's jaded towards Fallout by any means, because it's my favorite thing in the world for the most part. I freaking love Fallout. Fallout, Mass Effect, give me a little Stargate and Star Wars, and life is typically pretty fine. And don't forget Lord of the Rings, but there were way too many people that made it to the finale of Stranger Things. It made it hard to emotionally wrap that core up and make it feel satisfactory for even it feels like 3/4 of the quadrants they were looking for in their audience. I don't. It doesn't seem like the majority of people are happy with what was given to us. And how do you wrap something up like that? Anyway, that's 10 years of stuff there. I worry, and it might not be fair to Fallout.
5 seasons of stuff there. Really, it's 47 episodes. That would have been 2 seasons of series TV back in the day. So let's put that in perspective here real quick. And the only reason why it takes so fucking long is because they make everything like an MCU movie now. And it's the visual effects and it's spectacle over substance.
Mm-hmm.
They shortchange substance in the name of flashy, and it's frustrating. They cut down on the number. They have so many characters, but they cut down on the number of characters and storylines and things like that they potentially could have, and by extension, the amount of jobs that they could provide to have like these storylines be crammed into such a small, short run of things.
Yeah,
I don't know. I have frustrations. But I have frustrations with the industry as a whole right now because all these streamers are only focusing on their one tentpole show, and they're not putting out, you don't have 70, 80 new shows happening because they have to fill, like 7 nights a week of entertainment anymore. You don't have that 7 to 10 block needing to be filled anymore because everything's on demand. So they're working on their tentpole projects, and as a result, like the volume isn't there, and the industry's collapsed under its own weight.
10 years ago, there were 70, 80 productions at any given time in this one city alone, and now there's
I know, and now like we have Baywatch shooting here right now, and NCIS. That's about it. And while NCIS does its best to get like anywhere from 6 to 10 co-stars an episode, there's thousands of actors out here, tens of thousands of actors, hundreds of thousands of actors out here. They're getting 3,000 submissions per role on average. And actually, that's probably that was before production scaled back so far here. That was beforehand. It's probably like redonkulously even more now. So, the industry has changed, how we consume entertainment has changed, and everything is scaled back greatly. And Hollywood, as a result, is shrinking. Definitely. And that means that there's no place for a lot of people, and that's why I'm working on carving out my own block.
Us too. It's all we can do at this point.
Yeah.
We said it before, and it won't be the last time we say it. I feel like that almost Daredevil, Luke Cage, that era of Netflix shows, those were all 13 episodes. At least give us 13 episodes. At least Walking Dead is I think the most recent good example of network kind of staying true to what it was. And also still kind of leaning into usually 16, 18 episodes.
And give us some damn bottle episodes and give us some stuff that's character development without it having to be like forwarding the main plot only all the time. Give us, give us some stuff that shows personality. Because part of my problem with Daredevil originally was like he spent 3 episodes on the couch because he got his ass whooped in a hallway fight. And he spent 3 episodes recovering. And it felt like that they were stretching for time to try and fill in their 13 episode order. It's like people forgot how to write a 13 episode arc and they wound up just tap dancing for time. And it's like, take some other opportunities for character development, do some side characters, do some other plot lines. Not everything has to be in the service of the one main plot.
Let Foggy be Foggy. Like come on.
God, there's so much there. It's God, I don't know.
Well, and that's something I worry about with Fallout right now is it might not be 100% fair to put it on Fallout because all these ancillary things are happening and naturally we just feel the emotions.
Well, I think part of what we're seeing is the market forces driving how TV is made today, and that's part of what it is that we're seing. And
I think a lot of us were hoping that Fallout wouldn't lean into that a little bit, and I don't know if Amazon Prime's giving them a choice.
Well, it's it's a product of its time in this regard. That this is the formula. This is what the algorithm and the spreadsheets and the bean counters say that how television needs to be made, and this is how we're going to do it. You get so many episodes, so much time, and go.
Well, and there's too many plot lines in season 2 so far to actually, I feel, functionally in this season excited, and that is making me a little trepidatious and not very I am losing a little bit of excitement for the rest of the season because of the amount of plot lines that they've introduced. And we saw House blow up a couple heads. Okay, he was walking on the red carpet. We saw Kumail Nanjiani walking on the red carpet. He made it an episode. I don't.
We're only dealing with 8 episodes.
This is true. And again, they need more episodes is the easiest answer. Just I don't feel like there's enough time to sufficiently tell the story that they put in front of us, and have each plot thread feel good. And I don't think they're trying to make it this season. I think they're going to really do that for season 3 because
I think what they're trying to do is keep their subscription numbers up. And that's the thing, is that at the end of the day, this is show business. And that as a result, this is why it feels like they're speed running the greatest hits. And trying to cram in as much as possible so people feel good and feel like they get the Leo DiCaprio, that's the thing. He said the thing, without it necessarily feeling like it's got the gravitas that it needs or deserves. That said, I do appreciate the fact that they're trying to do interesting things with the factions. I'm willing to wait and see what they're doing with the NCR, because we know they're going to come back. We know there's going to be more. We know they're going to have a confrontation with the Legion at one point. So we know that they're going to see them get their shit together. Mm-hmm. I think it's interesting that, like, how do you keep these factions functional 15 years later, and what do they look like? There's a lot. How do they exist in stasis without one having wiped the other out completely when they're diametrically opposed and shown to be in constant conflict? So you have
got to be a new faction somewhere as well. Like, there's got to be somebody new out there, and I don't know if we're going to see that.
You know what? I feel like that would have caused such a backlash. I feel like having somebody new coming in that upended the table and would be running the show right now would have caused
not necessarily running, but just like House says in the game so many times, the tribes come and go. Like Caesar says, he conquers a tribe, puts him in, conquers another tribe, puts him in. He's conquered 86 tribes is what I was when I went to the fort and talked to him yesterday when I got my little mark to be able to go talk to him before putting that chip in the bunker, because I wasn't going to blow up the bunker. Screw the Legion. It felt like there was so much homework done for season 1. And then it started out feeling like there was so much homework done for season 2 with that slow approach, getting into like the outskirts of New Vegas and the Mojave, going to Vault 24 was so cool.
Yeah. And then I remembered it only had 8 episodes to tell the story.
Yeah, and it just, I'm just trepidatious for the rest of the season. I don't want to be. I'm still so excited. I still got my pit boy right here, like little Vault boy right here, ready to. I'm thumbs up and ready. I just hope, and I feel so weird saying it. I don't think this season's balancing the comedy and the dark comedy and the seriousness of what's actually going on. Fallout is so good at being very serious and adding a little humor to it, where the last episode felt like it almost, there was some tough stuff going on, but they approached the Legion with comedy. They almost approached the NCR with comedy. They almost it felt less lived in, much more, this is what we need to put in the episode. And although I really liked the character-driven aspects of the episode, it felt like the major plot points, because I really, really, really did like this episode for the character-driven aspect of it. Just the
I loved watching Harkness and Maximus bro it out. Like, I thought that was so much fun. And then I was suitably horrified at the twist of like, oh, that's right, these guys are bigots. Yeah.
Harkness heralds abomination, sing. I can't sing either, so whoops.
Yeah. No, I was suitably moved by the Brotherhood plotline this week. I really was. Like, I was like, oh man, Maximus has got it made in the shade now. He's gonna go to the Commonwealth, everything's gonna be great. And then the swerve, and then the unexpected swerve of Harkness getting his fucking dome cracked. It's like, oh boy. And then when you look back at it, it's like, no, with the amount of time they've got left, that makes sense. And yes, of course, that's going to kick off the Civil War. And of course, shit's all about to hit the fan, And I think we are going to see Brotherhood versus Brotherhood here, and that's going to be part of it. And I think I think the Brotherhood's internal politics are going to spill out all over the strip at this point.
Oh yeah, so, it's gonna, and there's no way that fleet of airships isn't coming. Okay, there is some prevalent talk online, of course. Really, there is no. Do you think the Commonwealth, just from the way Harkness was talking about it, they don't? I mean, they sound like they're the big head honchos, but Harkness said we're going to lose the Commonwealth if we don't get cold fusion.
Might have been that possibly that could have also been employed to get cold fusion.
Definitely.
It's like, hey man, this is the real Brotherhood. This is the Brotherhood that you resonate with. This is, and we're going to lose this if you don't give this to us. I mean, that's a tactic.
It's an easy tactic. Fallout tactics. But if he was not lying, I think the Institute's still around. And they say that in an episode where everything and everybody is going to not just war with each other, but war with themselves. It is a civil war from every angle. And in that same episode, Harkness is saying that we're going to lose the Commonwealth if we don't get to have this specific technology. Sure, very easily could be employed, but I don't know. I'm not convinced they're not going through something similar.
Oh, I'm sure that they are, because everything's a constant struggle in the Wasteland. I mean, that's part of the tropes of being post-apocalyptic. But I do think that there was also, I take it at the idea that the character is just trying to be use that as a means to an end. He builds up, he makes himself sympathetic. Gets in good with the guy that he sees to be an easy mark to try and get what he wants done, and he uses the idea of, oh my God, we're going to lose. The side that you identify with, the part that you resonate with most, is going to lose here if you don't help us. You have the power. Luke, help me, Obi-Wan Kenobi. You're my only hope.
Yeah,
and then.
But first, let me go slaughter these children real quick.
Oh yeah, not children, abominations. Get it right. Get the nomenclature right, because you have to dehumanize them first in order to make it okay to slaughter them. I mean,
technically they are adults. They've been alive for probably hundreds of years, or
you don't know what the case is of each of those ghouls individually. You don't know where they came from. I mean, you can make some harmful generalizations about them, I'm sure. But this is how you wind up with the widespread slaughter of ghouls, And
thankfully, Maximus stopped that, which was so cool to see.
Well, he made a fucking choice, and you see that he is he's the good character that does does the right thing at the right time, and sometimes that's the worst thing to do ultimately, But he did what he felt was right in that moment, and I applaud that. And now they've kind of kicked the can of conflict down the road a little bit. Maybe they can diffuse it, but of course, because it's Fallout, we're going to see armed conflict between. We're going to see some armor on armor violence here.
Boom, boom,
boom, boom. I mean, I'm interested to see where it goes, because you also, I do like the fact that they make the differences between the factions of the Brotherhood
distinct.
Like they really address that in this, and it's fun to see how the 31 flavors of Brotherhood don't mesh. I appreciate that, and I appreciate that level of detail, and I appreciate where that's going. I'm eager to see more about House, and I feel like we're going to get more in the next episode. I'm still holding out on the Anthony House theory.
I think I lean towards that one. I think I'll leave some gray area for the sake of it, but I'm probably 40-30. 40% leaning towards Anthony House, 30% leaning towards a double, and the other 30, I'm just like, throw me for a whirl, like send me for a loop, something,
Surprise me.
Yeah. I'm so
that's how stunt casting works, Lead Farmer. That's how they usually do it. And it was, and Camille Nanjiani is stunt casting in this case. I appreciate the
Parade
fact
him around
that they
the red
said that
carpet.
they put him, that they announced that he was going to be there, that it was going to be a thing, and then they subvert the expectation. I mean, it wasn't like the season premiere of, or the series premiere of The Shield, where they had it set up that this one guy was going to be the main character, and then they blow his head off at the end of the first episode, and then you find out that it's a Michael Chiklis show. You know, like, I forget who the actor was, but they
I love some Michael Chiklis, though.
What's that?
I love some Michael Chiklis, though.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. But The Shield is what made Michael Chiklis, you know. So he wasn't like, I remember when that series premiered. Who was the actor? Oh my God, they had billed him as like the series lead. Hold on, the original. Vic Mackey. Yeah, I'm aware that who was who died Shield series.
If he's a synth, we'll see him again. I'm still not convinced. Yeah, Harkness is such a particular name to put in there that, hey, maybe him saying that.
This is one where I'm perfectly fine with him being dead.
I am as well, but I'd leave the room open for them doing some funky stuff just for the sake of it. I'm not convinced until I see that body, you know. But all they're gonna do is show the body on the ground and
Reed. Okay, in the series premiere of The Shield, they had built up Reed Diamond to be as Detective Terry Crowley. They had set him up in all the advertising, everything. They made it look like this was going to be his show. Okay, that he was like the series lead, the main character, the protagonist, and Michael Chiklis. Spoiler alert: Michael Chiklis shoots him in the face at the end of the series premiere in a swerve to show that this is a show about corrupt cops and a corrupt, basically SWAT team, essentially. And that, I remember that making like national news when it happened, because it threw everybody for a loop, because this was really pre-internet, you know. I'm well, not pre-internet, but this level of discourse and the fandoms all being there, and that was something that we hadn't seen before, you know. So the idea of like this level of stunt casting and someone coming in and you think they're going to be a big thing, and then I mean it's a trope at this point that they get offed, but it's a good bit of stunt casting, and it keeps it. I feel like Harkness has served his purpose at this point, because he illustrated, I'm just getting cozy here, he illustrated the fact that the Brotherhood, even the East Coast Brotherhood, isn't what it's cracked up to be.
Yeah.
And Maximus is not going to be happy there either. So why do we need Harkness to be the one running the Brotherhood at this point, you know, or representing that side of the Commonwealth at this point? I think now we can have, some of the bigger leaders, the higher ranking leaders of the Commonwealth come in and really flex and see some shit happen.
Although I would have liked to have Nanjiani for another episode or two, because hey, give me some Kumon and Johnny for anything and everything. Budget. Prime can pay it up, but still, come on, I get it.
Yeah,
this opens the door for Harkness to come in. Not for Harkness, excuse me, for Maxon to come in. And Harkness looked like a
Ginny
off-Broadway Maxon.
Pardon me, my cat's trying to eat the Christmas tree. Ginny, stop it. I see you.
You got to listen to the cat. Remember, Quest was saying they are our gods, apparently. Cats created humanity just to let them serve, for us to serve them. That's the one.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't be half surprised. Cat is God. Got to say that like an old Baptist preacher. But cat is God. You know? And we're back to cats ruling the world. Here we are.
Mm-hmm. I'm looking at you. Don't you do it.
One thing that I am intrigued about, I wish they would have given us just a little hint, and maybe they had, and I just didn't eagle eye it well enough, or most folks have, because I don't know if I've seen anybody say anything about it. Who gave Johnny Pemberton the job of bottling up a bunch of Sunset Sarsaparilla in there with all these ghoul kids, because someone is in charge of that somewhere.
I think he's in charge of it. I think that he's calling himself the floor manager because he can't envision a bigger title for himself. But I think that he found that factory and now he's got the kids and he's running it. You know,
I think he's smart enough to figure out all the old pre-war tech like that.
I think he's. I mean, you got to remember he's part of the Brotherhood, so he's seen pre-war tech, a lot of it. You know, I mean, that's what he grew up with, and that's what they were allegedly trying to preserve was pre-war tech. So familiarity is not. You know, he's basically crypto mining. You know,
yeah,
but he's he's got a bunch of little miners out there getting him. Like he's got miners, literally MINORS, as opposed to MINERS. You know, mining
back pre-1930s here.
Yeah, they're farming caps.
Farm. Mining.
Yeah, you know, and
you don't think there's someone pulling the strings there, like a house or somebody like that?
No, not everything needs a fucking evil overlord. You know,
sure. Yeah, definitely. Just where did he come across all the children? I feel like that is somebody that somebody has given him a workforce rather than him actively seek out all the children of the Mojave.
Well, I mean, I do know that he's got a couple of scenes with the ghoul in the next episode. Or yeah, he's got a couple of scenes with the ghoul coming up because he's talking about waiting for his nose to fall off. I saw that clip.
Oh.
Yeah. So we're gonna get more information on what Thaddeus has been up to pretty soon. He could be working for some petty overlord. He might just be the guy himself, you know. But you know, he's talking about how they were making him the caps, not making the caps for somebody else or harvesting the caps from somebody else. He was talking about how the kids were making him the money. So I think being the floor manager is his dream title, you know, and a way to relate what he's doing while also downplaying child labor a little bit if he sounds like he's part of a bigger system as opposed to being fucking, you know, slaver, basically.
There's not
because you got to remember he's like, oh hey, we're you know, we're only 12 hours into a 16-hour, you know, or 18-hour shift or whatever it was. It was like, dear God. Yeah.
Like, come on. Oh. Yeah. Do ghoul kids grow up? The Stanleys asks.
You know, I mean, if we follow the logic from Kid in a Fridge, no.
No, yeah. That's the only reference point I think we have besides this last episode. And they didn't give us an age of the kids there.
No.
Nah, Peter Pan ghoul kids. That's actually accurate. Yeah. Yeah. I felt like all the Brotherhood stuff in this episode was peak, which was great. I really liked the ghoul in the episode as well. I liked that this was the episode that I felt like Coop came back and it wasn't just the ghoul.
Yeah. Well, and I think we're gonna see I'm eager to see more of Cooper and House interacting, you know, and where that goes.
Pre-war and post-war.
Yeah. I'm very excited for that. I think that there's a lot to mine there. They've set it up to be a really big thing. You know, Coop's there basically to kill him. I like the fact that Coop's not even at, you know, he's at the VFW hall and he's not even anywhere in that. And House is, you know, confronting him kind of unknowingly because he doesn't know he's House or a House, you know, because I'm still holding on to him being Anthony.
Oh yeah, we did
bizarre behavior. The bizarre behavior tracks too, because I watched a bunch of videos on Anthony House and he went full Howard Hughes. According to the lore, he went full Howard Hughes even more than Robert did, you know, and was complete insanity. Yeah.
And I don't think it's going to necessarily play a thing. We mentioned it, I guess, two episodes, 3 episodes ago, podcast wise for us. Anthony House in his very last final vault entry or excuse me, computer entry, whatever I'm actually looking for there, terminal entry. There we go.
Yeah.
He signed.
He signed at Alexander. That actually is. It depends on which platform you're playing the game on, because that's actually where it's Anthony on some platforms, but Alexander on one of them, and I want to say it's Xbox.
Okay, because that's the one I've always had, and I think I've always seen Alexander.
Yeah,
and that's nothing I think to hold our hats on, but just another. No. Everybody's got a freaking double or something possibly, because I love the Howard Hughes aspect of that. It is very fun. And the one thing that I had almost forgotten about the freaking house scene in this last episode.
Yeah, don't ever talk politics with the guy when he's got his dick in his hand.
Yeah, great line. I mean, it's been used in many things before, and I don't think it's ever not rung true. You know?
Yeah. And confronting a guy while he's in the bathroom, like that's there's a social code about that clearly shows no decorum, you know, and it felt very like it felt very vaguely threatening, very uncomfortable, you know, catching Cooper at a vulnerable moment. It felt very strategic. I was like, this is what a chess player would do if he wants to throw off his opponent real hard, you know. This is what a tactician would do if he wanted to get a psychological advantage on him. Is get him when he's vulnerable, get him when he's got his hand on his junk, you know. Like that's I thought that was a great time to it was a great scene because it gets him in a place where it's quiet and private and gets him when he's vulnerable, you know. So like I thought that was a clever bit of writing and a nice setup, you know.
Agreed. I'm very intrigued to see where that goes. And Rafi Silva, the guy that is playing our original Robert House from last season, who's still part of this season too, has been on all the red carpets. He's been on all the little press junkets.
And you know what? I saw an interview with him where he shouted out all the content creators on YouTube that he watched,
which was awesome.
Which I was like, hell yeah, dude! That's a way to send
TKS Mantis, Oxhorn, all
down for everybody else. Well done.
Yeah, that made me happy. I was like, this guy gets it. And also Macaulay Culkin, even though he didn't play all the games, he said he's been watching Fallout lore on YouTube for a long, like 5-6 years is what he was saying. He said he's been watching it for a long time, just kind of in the background. And hey, I do the same thing. I get it.
That's how I started. Actually, before I started playing any of the games, I was watching the lore videos, and that's what made me want to play the games.
Really?
These guys have such a grasp of it, and they tell I mean, Oxhorn in particular, I feel like is really good at, you know, going in and exploring the lore and the meaning behind things and how it all interrelates and interconnects and everything. I really love that with all of his work, and I'm incredibly grateful for it because that's what got me hooked, and that's what made me sit down and be like, all right, I'm playing this. You know, I have to experience this for myself. So.
He's just great. Oxhorn there. I'm just bringing the channels up real quick just for the sake of having them up here.
Yeah.
Just while we're talking about it. Oxhorn's great. TKS Mantis.
Yeah.
Is great.
Yeah.
Oh, look, I'm not subscribed on all these other on
there you go. Yeah.
The Trek channel. Whatever freaking Google account we're on here.
Yeah.
My absolute favorite though is this guy. I don't know if you're very familiar with Epic Nate.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, they're long videos.
Yep.
Oh, they're so good.
Yeah.
So good.
No, I really appreciate the fact that these guys. Well, you could tell that they did the actors did the research, and I appreciate the fact that they shouted out their sources. You know, and they were like, "Oh yeah, no, I got all my info from YouTube." So.
This one right here, it's been less than a day. It's been 19 hours. Literally less than a full 24. The Curious Case of Fallout Stranger Settlement. You remember Fallout 4, right?
Yeah.
Do you remember Covenant?
Yeah.
The Vault Tech settlement. Do you think Norm is more likely to lead a Covenant-like settlement or a water chip Fallout 1, Fallout 2 type settlement? Especially that we're on the boneyard aspect of things. Synonymous is great as well, Stanley. Synonymous is awesome. Oh.
I have to take a look at that. I do like me some Nerd Forge.
In a big way.
Yeah.
Because I think Norm's kind of the main plot thread that we haven't talked about from this previous episode.
Yeah. Well, I think I could see probably I could see him running a settlement that tries to be the next Shady Sands, but is more like Covenant.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but then again, they are setting this up as this is the kid who was the slacker that has been given his time to shine finally.
Well,
so
he also doesn't even know what Shady Sands is, does he?
No, it's true.
Yeah. That's just dawning on me right now.
But he's showing that he's an effective leader. I mean, he's got a team of middle managers right beneath him, willing to I think he's and his timeline has been imperfect in this whole thing because he was starving to death, but managed to keep finding enough supplies to stay alive. I think he was down there a lot longer, and kept finding the caches of like the supplies that were meant for everybody that was frozen in there. Because they even go into, hey, who ate all my crackers? Who ate all my supplies? And I think he was down there for a lot longer than it seemed, because he ate everything.
Yeah,
and eventually ran out.
Ultimately, it wasn't food that was going to kill him; it was the lack of water, which means he went through all the water bottles and everything else he could find.
Went through all the water bottles too. And there were how many of those guys there? So they had enough rations for like he could have been there for a while, and that explains like the time dilation there. Is just that you didn't need so many scenes of him being like, cracking open another survival kit because I got fuck all to do. Now
it would have been fun for him.
Now she's climbing inside the tree. Ginny, I see you. You're halfway up the tree right now.
The god is demanding some attention. Cat gods are important, apparently.
Yeah,
they are very.
This is very much Jen's cat. Like if I even try to come near her, she runs and hides. But she'll lay on Jen. I think Bailey, my cat, who's the senior cat of the house at this point, kind of said, "The boy is mine, the girl is yours, and never shall we cross."
Well, Ginny being Jen's cat is very perfect. It is just perfect.
Okay, hold on a second. I have to get her out of the tree at least real quick. But yes, the cat, I'm not going to put her on camera. Oh, she got out of the tree because I moved. There we go. That's all I had to do. All I had to do was shift in her direction and she starts disappearing. Yeah. All right.
Yeah. The Norm stuff, I'm so intrigued. But I'm with you where I think timeline-wise, if they want it to make sense, it needs to be a little bit further pushed out.
Sure. But I mean, how long can you show him just sitting there being like, God damn, I'm running out of food. I got nothing else to do. And he's just arguing with Bud. Like there's only so much witty banter that they can have. So
the one little eye roll I had was, and I do find it funny. It was funny to have just the little turnaround shot of Bud just in the little mop bucket back there. Yeah. But I would have loved to have seen Norm just pick him up and just be frustrated and just toss the Robo Brain in there.
Yeah.
Totally not necessary.
It's the
little things.
I liked it as a reveal.
Agreed.
You don't always have to explicitly show everything. I liked it as a reveal. Yeah. I don't know. I could see him. I think they do wind up in New Vegas. I think he does go looking. Because I think what they do is that they realize really quickly that Southern California isn't going to work for them anymore. So I think they head to the Vault-Tec mothership.
Oh, because that would be, because they don't really, besides Norm, they don't have a reason to follow Lucy to New Vegas or Hank. They don't know where either one of them are. So that would actually give them a reason to head that way, and middle management would at least be aware of.
Oh yeah. Well, especially if you watch the the Vault Seller's Guide.
Mm-hmm.
They break down the entire hierarchy of everything, and it's like, oh, okay, yeah. They would report to the mothership for new instructions.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. The person that is leading Vault-Tec is still intriguing me as well. Whether that be in Robert House.
Who? Yeah. I think it's either Mother, Father, or Thomas. That's the acronyms for the different automated systems that are the backbone of Vault-Tec. And they talk about this in the Vault Seller's Guide. Yeah. I think it's an AI.
It would not make sense, especially to have it combat House a little bit with that, because he's not an AI, but he's kind of next door to one in a lot of ways.
I mean, he's you know, House is existing as a singularity, an uploaded consciousness that spreads throughout systems. You know,
kind of an
yeah, but yeah, I think, and yeah, man, I don't know. You're seeing all the major factions. Yes, man. We haven't seen House post-apocalypse yet. But we have the Yes Men, the Securitrons are beat to shit. Haven't seen very many of those. The NCR has been knocked back on its heels because of Shady Sands, and the Legion is engaged in civil war. You know, man, this could have been the Great Khan's time to shine if they just didn't do him dirty in the first episode. You know, yeah, bit of a bummer there. And now the Kings are all just zombies.
How do we're on episode 4 next, and they haven't even
gotten to the strip yet. All the shit that they shot up the street from us. You know, yeah, they haven't even gotten to that point yet.
How are they going to wrap this up succinctly? Like, I am worried about it. They're not, and I need to stop worrying about it because they're going to go.
They got to lead into season 3 somehow, and we do know that season 3 is going to be a faster turnaround than season 2 was.
And I feel like, and season 2 was a surprisingly fast turnaround. I mean, we were betting about that 6 months ago, and oh shit, we're going to get it in December. You know?
Yeah, my bet was Q1 this year. So
I somehow guessed it right. I was like, man, maybe end of 2026. Surprise to all of us. Shoot. I'm leaning towards, I think this season's going to be self-contained, I guess is the right word for it, just because they're going to leave some of the spicier stuff for season 3. And I don't blame them.
Well, you know, more money, more budget, more, you know, like if the ratings are only going up, they'll throw more resources at it. And maybe that's why they're holding back on some of the bigger things, is to wait until they could do them better.
I don't know if the ratings are only going up now. I don't think this season's going to help with ratings. I think that's going to be the biggest downfall of this season, is it's going to be not as well rated for everything we've kind of talked about today. And then we do need to reconvene, of course, next Friday or Thursday for next week, right?
Yeah, next week will be Thursday because I have to go to the East Coast on Friday. Yeah,
you're going to the Commonwealth? Okay.
No.
Wasteland?
I'm going to Appalachia.
Oh, there's your Fallout 76. Somebody mentioned 76 earlier.
Yep. So now I'm going to North Carolina for the weekend. I got to go visit my family. So
that'll be fun.
Yeah.
Trying to remember the exact thought I had right before that.
I hear you. I'm still intrigued enough to stick with it, and even if I wasn't doing this because I'm part of the channel, I would still be intrigued enough to stick with it. I'm very curious about Vault 24 and why they did that and where that's going to lead to. I'm very curious.
It's not just a one-off thing. It can't be.
Yeah, no, they've built that up too much. Like, why do they have a friggin' brainwashing factory that turns people into communists in the Mojave?
And seemingly, it's the closest vault to Vault Tech.
Yeah, yeah. Like that does where does that come from? I'm very intrigued to see where that is. I want to see the Brotherhood versus Brotherhood Civil War. And I do want to see what happens with the 3 factions. I really
NCR, Legion, and
Yes Man House. I really want to see. Yeah. Like, I feel like that they were trying their best to avoid canonizing a particular ending to the game, and I think that that's something that's, you know, causing that's causing things to stumble a little bit. With some necessarily vague storytelling where it shows that, but they're also showing that it doesn't matter who won the second Battle of Hoover Dam because they all got fucked up one way or another, you know, and nobody's got nobody's got a clear grip on the strip at the moment that we can see.
Yeah.
So
it's setting up for some interesting stuff.
Yeah,
while
I can understand why this isn't everybody's cup of tea, I'm intrigued and I'm hooked, and I really want to see where they go with this.
Well, see, it's totally still my cup of tea. I just wish they would, like you said, had more time to delve into the stuff. Because
give us 13 episodes or we fucking riot. I mean,
yeah.
and get it back to eventually doing 24, 26 episodes. I mean, but you have to scale the budget back and you have to scale the expectation back. And on a prestige piece like Fallout, where it requires that level of fidelity to the game, you're not going to get. They can't do that cheap. So as a result, they're going to spend more on fewer episodes. But yeah, I think I don't know. They've got to maybe they got to scale back the amount of story that they're telling to fit it better. But it feels like they're trying to cram 20 pounds of shit in a 2-pound bag right now.
Well, you know? Hey, and we've said it before, MGM Prime, we know specifically y'all are listening. Like, we're sorry we stepped on some toes in the past, but hey, Stargate, Viva Stargate, everybody's happy now. Give us that 13 episodes, please. We don't need. We've said it before, and we'll say it again.
Please create more jobs, and please create more opportunity for people to have the opportunity with the industry, and please also take the time to tell stories longer and better. And not everything has to be in the surface of one plot line. We can have some episodes that are there for character development, relationship development, world expansion that aren't in the service of the one ongoing plot. I mean, these games are literally about the side quests, because if you did the main plot, it'd be over in just a few hours. If you just shotgun the main plot only. But these characters, it's thou shalt get distracted by bullshit every step of the way. I mean, that is the golden rule. So
1,000%. I don't think that we need. Hey, even though it was really cool, Stranger Things just put their finale out on TV, or excuse me, in theaters. I don't think we need a theatrical quality of CG either. I think people would understand if it was dialed back 1 degree. You don't have to dial it back 2-3 degrees necessarily. Make it still look freaking awesome.
Mm-hmm.
But it doesn't need it does help to make it feel like you can just jump into the world. It very much feels like a practical world, which is great.
Yeah.
But hey, focus on the practical stuff, not so much the expensive aspect of CG. Because
maybe not practical stuff, but character driven stuff.
Sure, yeah.
You little shit. I just pulled her halfway out of the tree, or from the middle of the tree.
That's great.
Good Lord. All right. Yeah. Okay. Well, hey, I actually have to get down to the space because I have a group I have to meet up with this afternoon as things are starting to shape up for the new year. We got a whole bunch of stuff happening in our spaces coming up.
Good.
Sleuth Fest is gonna kick off in February, and I'm already in pre-production on that. So we'll be doing all of our mystery themed programming.
What was it called again?
Sleuth Fest.
Sleuth Fest.
Sleuth, like
that was like Luth. Interesting.
Yeah.
Sleuth
Fest is coming up, so we're getting that started. So I got to go meet up with some folks about putting up their show there. So I'm gonna hop off, but yeah, we'll be back Tuesday night at midnight for episode 4, the official halfway point of the season, and then we will be back on Thursday next week instead of Friday, because Thursday morning we'll do a Thursday episode. Because Friday, like I said, I'm on a plane to North Carolina. So yeah, so please join in us with us on Thursday for the change up for this 1 week. And in the meantime, stay weird and stay wild in the wasteland, y'all.
Yep. We will see y'all soon. Sunday as well, and I think Farscape will pick up this coming week. We'll keep y'all posted on that.
Awesome. Sentimental value. I'll make a note of that. Thanks, Monk.
Yes. Oh, there was one quick thought, and it's totally gone. So we'll put it in next week.
Yeah, we'll put it in next week. We'll make a note of it.
Wonderful rest of your day, week, month, all of the above. It's not month yet. Welcome to the beginning of the year.
Yeah.
And have a good one.
Yep. Cheers.